Alrighty, welcome back to another one. And today we're going to be finishing up this engine. We're going to be putting it back together. So we're going to be reseating the valves. We're going to be doing piston rings. And then we're going to be putting pistons back in. And then all the gaskets, head gaskets. And we're going to completely finish this engine. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be putting it back in. Alright, so starting off with the rings. I just have this ring, like, extender thing. And with this ring thing, tool, whatever, you're just going to put one side on one and the other side on the other side of the ring. And then the ring should just come off. And at this stage, if you break an old ring, it's not a big deal because you have new rings you're going to put on anyway. So there's that. And then you should repeat that for this ring. And these bottom rings, sometimes they're thicker, so it's harder to do. But you should repeat that for all 4 rings, and then you're done. Alright, and then just this oiler ring here, and then we're all done. Alright, and when you're putting on your new rings, you're going to want to grab your bottom ring and then go from bottom to top. So I have my bottom ring here, and this one's the thickest, it's the hardest to get on, so I'm not going to video it because I don't want to break it. Alright, took a little while, but that ring is now on. Now I'm going to grab my other rings. So what you're going to want to do is you want to grab, this is your oiler ring. You're going to just want to grab that, and you can just work that one on. This one goes on the third lip here. And then just grab one of these, and then these go on either the top or bottom. And how I like to do that is kind of put this on the bottom here, and then roll it around, kind of. Let me do that real quick. So you kind of put it in the bottom there, and then just roll it around. And if everything goes right, it should go right in the bottom there, and then should seat down. And then just do that same thing, but on the top. Alright, and then grab your normal rings, and they should have like a dot, or like this one has top on it, so this one goes to the top of the piston. If they don't have anything on it, like one of them, this one does, but the top like ring doesn't, it usually just can go any direction. Just read your instructions. Usually they just come in the box with the rings. Alright, so now that ring is in. Now this top one doesn't have anything. It's same on both sides. There's like a groove on both sides there, so you can just put it anyway. Alright, now that's all your rings. And be careful with these thicker ones, like what's on this piston, because they will snap pretty easily. The ones on my Camaro, like the thinner rings, they don't snap easily at all. Like you could try to snap them, they wouldn't. These ones will snap really easily, so just be careful. So go ahead and do that with all your pistons, and then we're going to put them in the block. Alright, so I have my piston in the cylinder, and I'm going to make sure the crankshaft isn't going to hit anything. And also, before I fully put the piston in, take it out and make sure if your piston has numbers on it, make sure that number is facing the way it came out. So mine was facing up, and so that, because it'll match on the bearing, it'll match the number, and you want those facing up. So now you're just gonna get your ring compressor and then put that on, and then I'll show you how to get it in from there. Alright, so I've tightened up my ring compressor. I choose this tool here, and then you twist it until you can't twist anymore. Make sure your crankshaft is not in the way, it's not gonna hit anything, then your piston's the right way. Then you're gonna get your hammer, and I'll show you what to do with that. Alright, so I got my piston and piston ring and whatever in the ring compressor. You just wanna make sure that it's nice and even, nothing's gonna break. And you're just gonna go a couple light taps, or you can just go in one big blow. I don't know if the camera's gonna stay up, but I'll kind of have to show you here. And then there's the piston. Let me show you here. And look at that. Piston's in. Then you're gonna wanna go to your crankshaft and make sure that that's all lined up, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, now I've just pushed my piston in a little bit and then moved my crankshaft. So then now the piston just lines up there. And then I need to get the bearing. Make sure the bearing is in the piston correctly. Our bearing is now in there correctly. It's not sticking out of either side too much. So then you're just gonna wanna grab your other side and make sure if your piston has numbers, make sure it's the right way. And then slide that on there, but I'm gonna get the assembly lube before I do that. All right, and before I put the bearing on completely, just get your Assembly lube and kind of put it along the bearing. Just kind of like that. And that's enough. And this stuff is really sticky. It's kind of annoying, but it's what has to be done. Then just put it on your piston there. And it should just slide on. Sometimes you'll have issues like I'm having now. Oh, it's because, look, the number was not matching the number. So now it should just slide on. Look at that, when the number matches. So then you're gonna get your lock nuts, put those on either side, and then your nuts, and then just put those on, and then you should be all set after, and then go do that 6 more or 5 more times, and then torque things down, and then you should be set and all your pistons are in place. All right, now that's tight, it's just finger tight. Make sure your engine actually rotates, and it looks like it does. Just make sure it goes over once, because I didn't do this in my Camaro, and I had to take out every single piston and do it again, which was not fun. So just make sure your engine rotates after you do every single cylinder. I'm gonna go ahead and do all the cylinders, and I'll see you when I'm done. All right, all of the pistons are in, and the engine rotates. So I've just am doing the valves right now, seating the valves. So I've done these 5, and I'm working on this 6th one here. And these plunger things don't stick to the valves, so I'm just using my fingers, and I can rotate it just as much. So it's probably not quite as effective, but it's working. I just got these 6 to do after this one, and then I'll update you once I'm done. Then we'll start putting back on the oil pan, and then we'll start putting back the head. All right, it's the next day, and last night I went ahead and did everything. I finished the valve job. I tightened and torqued all the head bolts. I put the valve covers back on, new gaskets, head gasket, everything. So now I just have the oil pan gasket and oil pan to put in, and then we gotta drag the engine out there, pull the Plymouth out, and it's time to put this engine back in. If you want to go watch me doing the head and the finishing the valve job, I did a live stream last night, so go check that out. And also, I was wanting to show you my Camaro, like what a normal ring is versus how thick the Plymouth ring is. So like, this is the Plymouth ring, the thicker one there, and that's my Camaro's ring. So very, very different. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Alright, so investigating the head gasket a little more, I didn't find any significant cracks, but I did find, like here, it's real worn down. You can even feel that, and that's in between the water jets, and you can see there's probably water escaping through there into each of these pistons. Same here, you can see right here, real worn down, and a little bit right here. So there's no significant cracks, but there's definitely some wear in between the piston walls, because that's what it's supposed to look like with these rings here. But on the other side, this is completely worn down. Alright, so we got the oil pan on. I had to put it on this like log thing. I lifted the engine up, put it on there so I could get the oil pan on. It was kind of a pain because the oil pan is creased and it's bent, and so we had to use a screwdriver to pry it and then put a screw in. It was a whole thing. So we got it, and now I think we're gonna put it on the transmission jack, clear that off, and then hopefully we can roll that over to put it on the engine hoist. And then look how clean this engine bay is. Like, I painted the walls, I cleaned up the, I don't know, it just looks up so much, like it looks a lot cleaner. Alright, so we're about to put the engine in, and I cleaned up the bell housing a little bit, cleaned up, did some wiring there, and cleaned up the fuel pump. And so we're about to roll this over, put it on the hoist, and hopefully it'll go right in. Alright, so I think that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I think I'll probably do a video on putting the engine in, or I might do a live stream. Either way, you can see it. Just look at my channel. It's somewhere there. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next time.